Roundtable.
Woo! Yeah!
As you can see, if you follow the table around this way to the wall of the room, down to the end, to the back wall, this wall down back here, it is in fact a round table. So, I'm going to be up to a little activity while we're talking, and I'm a multitasker, so it's a thing I do anyway. We're going to have a raffle thing go on here. There's stuff on all this paper. And there was one key thing missing from my current kit, that being raffle tickets. Wow. So, I have a plan, because we do have raffle tickets from Toronto in this box. This box is what we used for the raffle in Toronto. This is also probably our biggest raffle prize for this panel, so you want to stick around. So you might win a big spring. It's slightly used, unsoiled for the most part. And you'll get to keep all the raffle tickets too, because they're going to be in the box. So, you know, you can put that on eBay and go like limited, one shot, one and done edition. We'll just put that there for now. So I've got all these raffle tickets, and I have this paper here. So what I'm thinking I'll do is I'll just make some raffle tickets that go with these ones while we're podcasting, and it's all going to be aces and spades. While I begin, let's quickly go around and introduce who we are and what podcast we're on, starting from my leftmost left.
Is that the right?
For them, it's the right.
You're right.
Yeah, your leftmost right.
I'm Diecast from Radio Free Cybertron, and I also have a YouTube channel at RFC Reviews for figure reviews. And if you go to my channel, the newest video is I lit a Kronos on fire.
I am Robert Skullface, and I'm part of Shattercast Uncut and Nerd Rage Radio, both part of the Cool Table Network, and we're more adult themed shows. But the kids will think we're ready to rock and roll a little bit later.
Hello, Skullface!
I'm Chris Vangelis. I'm Chris Vangelis, Mind Freak. I do street magic, and I also run a Transformers podcast called WTF at TFW. I also, for a hobby, make raffle tickets. I'm going to share that with you today while I'm here.
I'm Jonathan Luna. I am on Radio Free Cybertron, also with Diecast and Brian Kilby, and then I also do an occasional mini-cast podcast on the side, both at tfradio.net.
I'm Yoshi. I'm with Transmissions Podcast. That's transmissionspodcast.com. There you go.
I'm Counterpunch from the Sabertron.com Twincast podcast.
And that's who's on your panel today. Was anyone here for the Friday panel? Okay, who missed the Friday panel?
I think that's my score.
All right, well, it's okay. You guys won't be able to get the bonus marks, but you still can win a raffle prize, and you'll still be able to get a passing grade, which is the important thing. But when we get to the history questions, we might need to improvise. We're not going to do any history questions. I just haven't been to school in a very long time, and I was starting to have that nostalgia. We got a little brief schedule here, some intros and opening banter. We've done a lot of opening banter with a bunch of us on Friday, so let's opening banter with Robert Skullface a little bit. How was your table at the show? Because you were running a table.
Yeah, we did well, I think. We hadn't crunched all the numbers, but I think we're going to be able to keep the house one more month at least. It got a little scary, got a little touchy go there. For a minute, we brought a lot of merchandise in the hopes that people were going to bring a lot of money, and I think we did all right, but it was scary there for a minute. I was never a great student in school. I spent a lot of time in school in a room where there was one teacher for every student. That's usually a sign that they're not the best students. And I'm not sure I carried all the ones when I was calculating how much money I spent to make merchandise for the show, so I was very concerned, but I think we did all right, bottom line was.
Did you have any kind of, I don't know if you'd even heard, if you were at the table, but did you have any moment when word got around the ATMs were all depleted?
No, I didn't, but we did notice it switched, it went to cards, like it was pretty much all cards today, and PayPal and stuff.
Did anyone have to do anything crazy in the audience here to get cash? near the end of the show, or were you all very well planned? All right. Very organized people. Oh.
The ATM downstairs has cash now, I think.
Oh, the dealer room is?
Like an hour or two. One right in the bottom of the thing. And it was closed earlier. But...
Well, I still have prints available if anyone wants to go down to the ATM.
And I'd really like to have a fancy dinner, so if anyone, I have a nice smile.
You take cards,
I do take cards. If you can just give me a copy of your signature.
You have Coke Zero. What do you need?
So I have to ask a question. Since we're getting all these springers, and it seems like almost every one of them is coming with this little missile from the movie that you can fire at Devastator. Are we to get like a missile launcher from anyone so we can actually fire these at Devastator? Because I think that's what we really need.
I would love to see someone just like get one of those Shapeways trebuchets and just set that whole thing up. That would be pretty fun. Also, because I know he had it in the movie. The last thing I care about is a Springer having a football. Because all that did was make everyone look dumb. Because they go through all this work, pushing the launcher, bickering. Daniel's trying real hard, and no one's telling him it's not doing anything. They shoot the missile like twice, and Devastator throws half a building at them, and they run away. Like, it's not Springer's finest hour. This is my opinion.
Neither is this.
Well, no, here, it's not, but then you take him and you put your hand over his face. That was wonderful. Look how great this figure is. Don't look at him. Review coming soon. We're going to start off by talking about our big moments of the show, I think. So just like, what's a big moment that really struck you that kind of made your show if that happened? Or if it's like two small moments, you know? We're going a little bit soft with the science on how much a moment is worth. We're going to try to keep it metric. So why don't we start over down yonder with the TFcon podcast?
Sure. So I think it was Friday night. We're all sitting down there Friday after we bought it on crap. We're sitting down at the bar having our beers with our figures and kind of like messing with them. I get the good idea to have my brand new Starscream Gab. And everyone else at the table does too, and passersby start taking their figures and adding it to the group, and we've got this whole little collective of ridiculousness.
Sounds like the best thing.
Yeah, it was just like a good moment. And that's the kind of stuff I come for, just like power on the guys. That's it. Cool. Yeah.
Yoshi?
There's a lot of good moments, honestly.
I don't want to make you have to discard some.
You don't want to make me have to discard some. I'll try to focus on one. You know that I got invited to a couple of after parties in the rooms, and people just talking about the convention and what they liked and what they hated about it, and it was really hard for us to find anybody that had anything negative to say about this particular adventure.
Yeah, there was a vibe this year. It wasn't like a life changer for me, but it was like it was a pretty positive vibe. Like I felt a lot of good energy.
Mm-hmm.
I spent a lot of Saturday walking around the dealer room. Like I was just bumping into whoever I bumped into.
Yeah.
And yeah, it seemed like just a lot of excitement. A lot of first timers.
Yeah. A lot of people comparing HasCon and BotCon to this. With me, a lot of people were not happy with their HasCon experience, and more than one said this is my new BotCon.
I had some friends who went to HasCon, and it wasn't far from them.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like if you were close enough to drive to HasCon, it was fine. But if you like bought airfare or flew internationally, it ended up being a little disappointing.
Yeah. They'll get. I speculate that they're just going to get better though over the next few years. I mean, it's going to be a monster, but it's going to be more.
It's going to be great for Rhode Islanders.
Yeah.
And I don't think they should move that convention. Half of their draw was the fact that they were right by their office.
Right.
So it was like, get all the great prototypes lying around, put them in a case.
Yeah.
You know? Once that becomes a shippable, I think that becomes also logistics.
For me, the big moment was really just seeing all the young people. So I've been to 15, 16 BotCons, and this was my first TFcon. It's probably going to be my new convention. So I've been to a lot of things since the late 90s, and it's just always really encouraging. And this year really struck me how Transformers continues to bring youth into it, and I love seeing that. You know, I can sadly say that there are people running around half my age now, but it's a good thing. And just seeing packs of people who are young and into some angle of Transformers that is something I'm not into at all is awesome. And it just makes me really happy that that this thing that we're all a part of it just keeps going year after year after year. And you know, there was a time when we were all just kind of weird, smelly teenagers at BotCons, and then we kind of grew up and we had like serious boyfriends and girlfriends, and then you would see baby strollers start to show up, and now we're starting the process like all over again, where there's like these cool, you know, neat young people kind of running around, and then there's like these, you know, kind of the older original generation also running around. It really struck me this year, kind of walking around before the dealer room opens on Saturday morning, just how diverse we've become, and it was just really awesome to see. And it's really awesome to see in a kind of like in a post-BotCon world that, you know, TFcon was here with BotCon, it'll be here after BotCon, and whether it's TFcon or BotCon or something else, whatever you call it, there'll always be this for a Transformers fan. There'll always be a gathering because there's so many of us. We'll just come together under some name, some event, some time during the year, and that's really awesome.
This year is one of the first times I literally tripped over a child in the dealer room. That actually sounds a lot worse. You did too?
Yeah.
Okay, but when we say tripped over, it's not like we planted a foot square into a child's body and then flew over them. Like, it's like you're walking, you bump into a kid, but they're so short, it's not like a kid who's up to your waist, it's up to your knee. So you're like,
Skullface saved them.
whisk them up in your arms.
Skull faces for the kids.
Speaking of which, what was one of your big moments of the show?
I went to the Rock Box party on Friday night with the Roma Collectors, and it was a great time, and I enjoyed myself. But I'm also a bad luck person. Like, I've never gotten away with anything. I always get caught. And we left like 20 seconds before security showed up. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I got away. I didn't have any trouble for once, so it was nice. I had a great time at the party. I love Roma Collectors, and it was a good time.
I was going to ask Yoshi, you went to some after parties too, and that reminded me, did you end up at any ones where you ended up going past 9 and getting a noise complaint?
Nope.
You haven't finished your convention experience until you've been subject to a noise complaint.
I'm here another day.
All right, here we go. What's your room numbers?
Okay, no one mentioned it, so I'm going to mention it. I really enjoy the exclusives. I don't buy everything just because it's an exclusive, but I really like the, I call them Orange Tarn that MNC did, and I really like the Shattered Glass Rodimus that they did, so I picked those two up. That's something I'll always have on my shelf to remind me that I was at TFcon in DC in 2017, and that's where I got those figures from, so that was great. Also, while I was filming video of the third-party displays that they always put up, there was a couple of kids talking about some of the third-party figures, and this like kind of blew my mind because at the show we always say third-party is not for kids. Kids don't collect this third-party stuff. And I saw kids talking about the third-party figures and be like, I always buy the Iron Factory figures. I'm like, oh, my world. But
and one of the kids is like, well, you know, Warren Pocket has a slightly sleeker aesthetic, in fact.
Yeah, I was wowed. It wowed me, and it takes a lot sometimes to wow me when you've been in the fandom for a while. So that was really neat.
Yeah, for me, it was a great show, busy show. This year I started doing more panels, and I'm really enjoying it because I like the adrenaline rush of these things. But I think that my top moment, amongst a lot of top moments, was last night. I was hanging out downstairs in the lobby with Carl, the organizer, the guy from TFW 2005, our friend Dima, and some of those friends of mine. I used to be in a very tight crew who would hang out at BotCons all the way through to like from 2002 till 2007. And from 08 onwards, it's less time for people. People got older, people started moving on. And there's something about that moment, like those were all people I used to hang out with back in the early 2000s. And it was really nice. It was like crossing that over with whatever it is I am now as a person. So felt good. There were also I finished my Poseidon, so on a very basic toy level, that's one less thing to worry about. What a terrible way to speak about a purchase. I spent money, so there's one less thing to worry about. And that money was buying 2 toys.
That's how we feel with like the last wave of Hasbro, like
Slug Slinger.
Slug Slinger.
We gotta sift through all the repeats in the case. I just want the 2-headed jet.
I picked up a Slug Slinger this weekend, and yes, I paid more than retail, but I'm like, ooh, I'm done. I don't have to try and get that anywhere else. No checking Amazon every 10 minutes or whatever you do to get your figures.
The real sickness for me is I'm looking for a Slug Slinger, and I was like, well, 30 American's a bit much. I'll pay 30 Canadian, which is still too much. And I also have the Japanese one on pre-order.
Yeah.
And that's not somehow affecting any of this. Well, let's talk about big moments. Let's go inwards a little bit. I kind of want to chat with you guys a little bit about podcasting, since now we have, I think this is the most podcast represented at TFcon, perhaps just by one. We had a lot in Chicago, but I think this is the most varied. If I'm wrong, then TFcon historians can, throw a rock. But let's talk a little bit about podcasting. So we talked a bit on Friday. So once again, like Bobby, let's start with you. You're on a couple podcasts. So how long have you been doing podcasts specifically?
Since 2013.
So for a good 4 years now. Almost at the half decade where you started going like, uh-oh.
Well, it's for Shattercast, which is mainly Transformers, and it's when I got into Transformers again, because I went to BotCon in 2008 and it was trash, and I had a terrible experience, and it took me out of Transformers for 5 years. I didn't touch a Transformer, look at a movie, do anything from 2008 until 2013. And pardon my voice, I've been yelling all weekend.
We can all hear you there.
But I went to TFcon and got back into it, and the Cybertron games came out and stuff. But when I got into it and I found third party and it seemed exciting again, I wanted to listen to guys talk about the hobby, and it was there was other shows out there. RFC was already out there, and WTF was already out there, and both great shows in their own right. But there was nothing that spoke to me, like to the cut of cloth that I am from. So we started Shattercast, and it's for a more mature but immature audience. The language is explicit, but it's very honest, and it has a good chemistry to it. And then I started Nerd Rage like a year ago, and Nerd Rage Radio is just me and my childhood best friend. Like, we've been best friends since 11, and we get to talk about all the other things that aren't Transformers. Because sometimes I need a break. I need a break from Transformers. I get a Transformer overload. So it's nice to have it. And it's also gives me and my friend, time to get together and chat.
I was going to ask, do you feel, you record that one in person with them, right?
Yep.
So do you feel there is like a difference in the experience?
Oh, it's the best. It's the best way to do it. It's we sit down, and I don't know how it is for a listener perspective, because sometimes we're like, no, it's like what this is made of. But if you're listening, you don't know what that's made of, obviously. But it's much, I enjoy both, but there's something about doing it when you're all in the same room it's the best.
It's what makes me envious of a lot of like tech and like podcasts at large sites where they have an office to go meet up at or a studio to go record their podcast at. You can fill in the gaps a whole lot. You can podcast with people long enough that you can hear the cues and what they're saying. You can podcast and have webcams running so you can kind of see each other's face. But yeah, there's a vibe you get when you're all in the same room. It's why I like doing this kind of thing. Because I don't usually podcast with you guys all that much, except for Yosh. Well, no, because he's not on the ones I'm on. So I don't know. It's a nice change of pace. It's like when people talk about YouTube video reviewers should collab, and I'm like we could, but if we're not in the same room, I feel kind of like we're just talking to a camera at each other.
Yeah, like I've done stuff with Pake, and I've done stuff with T2RX6, and I've done stuff with Deluxe, and it's because we had the opportunity to do it together. But and it's also we have a rapport. Just the other day, somebody was like, like, you should collaborate with Evangelist. And I was like, Evangelist lives in Canada, and we've spoken like twice.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for Evangelist and I. But if Evangelist and I become best friends, then it would make more sense.
Even people I'm friends with who are reviewers, I'm like, I've collabed a couple times, but I only really want to do it if we're in the same room. Because I want the collab to mean something that is powered by, like the one I did with Pia years ago from Prime Starscream. We shot that in my hotel room. I pretended like I stole his underwear. Pretended, by the way. I did, sure.
But I mean, there's ways around it. Like, one time Brave sent me a toy that was hard to transform. TFC's detective. I did run it over with the car, that's a fact. I also, it's a fact. And I beat it with a shovel.
I feel like you got a bias because you just set fire to a toy, though.
Yeah.
Oh, I love seeing toys demise.
If something is trash, if I'm asking a lot of money for it, I get upset if it breaks. It doesn't matter. But he said that he knew it was difficult, and he sent it along with a video of him like doing like this challenge. Should he pass it? And like I could press play on the DVD, and I was like included that video in the, that's the way to collaborate. That's smart and makes sense, and there's a relationship there that makes it all work. But I like doing stuff that's a little bit. I like doing stuff that no one else is doing.
Yeah, I get that there's like a whole subgenre of the faked conversation where you're both in different rooms, and it just doesn't excite me as much. It's with podcasting. It's like I like the podcast I do, and I like guesting in on podcasts, but I get so much more. At least I get to know everyone a lot better, or meet them in person once. Like I meet Yoshi in person, for instance. As it turns out we have actually met in person. And then I podcast with them after the fact. I feel, this happened to me with other people before, I feel a massive difference in the conversational energy. Well, moving on to more podcasting stuff. Do any of you guys try to do an episode from the show when you go to a convention? Like an episode of your podcast from the show? So, how many times have you done it?
We've actually done it at almost every convention we go to, with the exception of this one. I don't think we did one this weekend. We just got tied up with other stuff, but yeah.
But I was going to ask you, like, we used to do them a whole lot with Ryan, and then we found that, like, trying to do a lot of podcasting at a convention, like, do you find it starts to step on the toes of the actual convention experience?
Yeah, I mean, we usually try and do it at night, so we're not doing it while, panels are going on or anything like that. But it's something you have to bring a lot of equipment for and plan for and worry about. And then a lot of the times when you talk at a convention like this, if there is a lot to talk about, you end up talking about it like 2 or 3 days later in the normal podcast anyway.
That was going to be my next question. Is like, a lot of us are on podcasts that do hit news items. What's it like to go to a convention, right? Talk about stuff at the convention. Go back home, within the next week, go on your podcast and have to kind of talk about it again.
We did 3 or 4 of them, and eventually stopped because either someone was too drunk and was ruining it, or the acoustics of the room made it impossible anyway. So we just decided to enjoy the time that we had there, get as much experience in, and then kind of rap about it afterwards and do a better show once we were all settled and rested.
It's also really hard to do kind of breaking news coverage like a couple of hours after the news breaks, because you're in that weird middle ground of, especially with social media now, that things are broadcast literally live now, or they're tweeted live now, and you kind of have to pick one lane or the other. You're either going to be part of that live kind of breaking like event. You're going to either be in the event and part of the broadcast of it, or you're going to have to analyze it in depth later and take your discussion to a deeper degree than you could if you were in the moment. And if you're trying to podcast like later in the evening or later in the day after something big happens, you're kind of in that middle ground where you haven't had enough time to decompress and analyze it and discuss it on a deeper level where people find interesting, and you weren't in the moment either. So it can be kind of difficult to provide an interesting podcast or an interesting discussion to people just a few hours after something big happens at a convention, because they were all part of it while it happened, and they're kind of waiting for that next level of discussion. But you're not quite prepared to have that. So and at the same time, you're kind of, again, like you said, kind of stacking on top of the things you're trying to do at the convention. So sometimes I think we kind of found that coming back to what happened at a convention a few days later can actually be more beneficial both to us and the listener.
We always do it 100% because, and not that I disagree with any of the statements, but we don't do it to break the news. Like, there's plenty of avenues for that. So we're just doing it to kind of capture the vibe, like to capture the vibe in the moment, in the chemistry of that moment, so that people from the outside get a taste of what the experience feels like. If we're drunk, we're drunk. If the acoustics suck, the acoustics sucked. So that's just what it is. And our goal is for the people that couldn't make it to feel like what it would have been like had they been there, or to get a piece of it that they can at least listen to and enjoy and have some laughs. I think podcasts, for the most part, tend to either be entertaining or informative, right? And the best ones find themselves somewhere in the middle. But everything that we kind of do leans heavier, much heavier on the entertainment side. So, you know, when you do stuff that's in a live party, it plays to the sensibilities of our audience. So we try not to miss it.
And the actual original mission statement for WTF and TFW back in like 07, when the idea was like pitched around, was like, that was from that old Post-Con crew for the most part. We were like, hey, why don't we try to take that the energy and that fun we always have and like record a version of it and dole it out to people. And there's a prototype show where we actually tried to do that a little bit too hard. And we were like, hey, let's tell a BotCon story. And then it didn't play as well when we listened to it back. It was a very specific BotCon story. I can't remember which one. It had to do with like a spinning toy. So it was that old classics prime with the spinning uppercut punch. His torso spins around. They called it an uppercut punch. Well, let's. I gotta get back to my little schedule here. Oh, right. This is the mysterious fun segment. So I had two ideas. One of them, though, relies on there being some. Does anyone here have like a tool I can use to like peel open a chain? Yeah. This is just a dumb idea I had because I have the stuff and I don't have the tool with me. So I got this. Oh, that should work. Well, if that doesn't work, then I don't know what to do with this stuff. I got this gold chain from a bead place in Toronto. And I measured off the part because I also got this guy. And I was thinking we could together as podcasters, like, we could figure out how to get this chain from here onto him. So I'm trying to figure out, like, when you cut chains, what would you use? Since you're the one with the tool.
I just realized I may need to slide over. The guy in the mask next to me also has a knife in his pocket.
Yeah, Leathermans are good. I was like close to the car. Yeah.
Close to the car?
Yeah. Ah! All right. Nice. And then we'll probably need pliers to squeeze it back together. Excellent. This is going way better than I expected. I thought we were going to be sitting here clawing at this thing with letter openers.
If you're not always prepared, you're never prepared.
Oh man.
I was just going to use my teeth. I hear that's popular.
Let me see your teeth.
Yeah, you can.
Would you believe I tried just pressing these things together really hard for about 10 minutes in my room, thinking that since there's a pre-cut in all of these, oh, if I just push them, if I just keep pushing them, why do my fingers hurt?
After that flight on the Galvatron?
The pardon?
After that flight on the Galvatron?
Yeah, like those buttons on that open and play Galvatron. Those things are sharp, by the way. Did anyone here in the crowd get the open and play Galvatron? How did you find the buttons?
I haven't played with it too much yet.
Oh.
I didn't mess with it at all. Anytime I say I don't want anything, if I say I don't want a specific toy or if I'm not interested in a specific toy, I got a buddy of mine, Robert D, who buys me that toy.
Have you ever pulled leverage on that and just gone like, man, I don't.
He's smart. I've tried it.
Okay.
He knows.
Because I would probably spend a good year just figuring like, you know what? If I do it a 20th time, maybe he'll think I finally stopped joking and I just hate this thing for some reason.
God, I don't need that Fence Toys Omega Supreme.
He knows. He's too smart.
I just despise stacks of $20 bills that amount to about $1,000 I paid to pay.
No.
Despise them.
No.
I'm lost actually how to get this back together. I got two little
My
things here.
my vision is not going to be any help to you right now.
Is it impeded somehow?
Slightly. So,
I don't
is there any tool that you are familiar with that would help you?
Usually, I would find a parent and say, Mom, I need this for Halloween. And then she would say, sure. And then about 10 minutes later say, hey, why don't you go as a ghost?
Do you guys listen to it? Jesus. Do you guys listen to a lot of podcasts? Like audio how to make some noise? I'm interested in terms of like audio versus YouTube. Like, it's informative for me.
Nerd Rage needs to be on YouTube.
Yeah, all right.
Do you, in general, does anyone here like listen to stuff on YouTube as a preference?
People
Yes.
So wait, I need to hear it. If YouTube is your number one way, your primary way of listening to a podcast, can you make some noise, please?
Yeah.
And if iTunes or Google Play or some audio download is your primary source, can you make some noise, please?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
The first time I got requests to put a podcast on YouTube, I don't know, maybe I was like really fuddy-duddy about it. I was like, what are you talking about? But then I realized, like, I listened to, well, not a podcast, I listened to conversational video a whole lot in another tab. Like, it makes a lot of sense. Do any of you guys on other podcasts, like, do you ever get the call to, like, put episodes or clips on YouTube?
We already do.
You already, that's because transmissions is from the future.
Shattercast does as well, and Radio Free Cybertron does as well, but Nerd Rage definitely does not.
I was going to say we actually have a show on tfradio.net that is, it's called There Goes My Money, because we talk about all the stuff that came out for pre-order. It used to be every week, but roughly sometimes it runs like every other week. So we talk about all the new pre-order items, all the stuff that you can go ahead and spend your money on, and we have to show pictures for that stuff because there's so much third-party going around that sometimes talking about something new that no one knows about, it's hard to do that without video.
Yeah, I think on the, I hear you. I think, you see, that comes down again to that informative versus entertainment. So if what the information that you're giving is, you're expecting it to be educational in some way, then yeah, it makes more sense to have the visual to go with it. I think on the Cool Table, it's Realm Collectors and the Plastic Fanatics and Shattercast, I think they all have YouTube. I don't know if Toy Detox is on YouTube.